But as a starting point, we saw some news this week around Salesforce. Obviously, Salesforce has been talking about their Agentforce offering pretty continuously since Dreamforce last year. They are revving up the media engine as they are getting ready for their Trailblazer Developer Conference, which is this week. So in full disclosure, I'll be attending there later this week and seeing what they have to say there. But before that, you noticed that there's some kind of conflicting news and announcements going on right now about Agentforce.
So first, start with full disclosure. So Symphony AI, I don't consider us a competitor to Salesforce, but we do have an agentic AI product that we're bringing to market. So we're in the space. So that out. And then secondly, I've been a longtime fan of Salesforce. I mean, it's hard not to admire their marketing engine and their sales engine and how they go to market. And Mark Benioff is a consummate salesperson that's been out there. And so it was quite fascinating in last week's earnings report or earnings call where they talked about it. And so it was manifest in two different articles. The one by CIO Dive talked about how Salesforce, I'll read the title. Salesforce ends 2025 fiscal year with a quarter of Agentforce. That's a quote from Benioff. And the subheading is the AI and data cloud segment contributes 900 million of annual recurring revenue during the provider's fiscal year. And they talk about in this thing that there's 3,000 paying customers using Agentforce. So it sounds amazing. And then there's another article by Tom Kavitz, I think I always get his name, Krazit, who writes Runtime. Big fan. He's a great analyst. Not a traditional analyst. He's really more of a traditional journalist. We just don't have a lot of those left. And he dove into this and said what was really fascinating is that in between Benioff's statements in the earnings report, the CFO came on and had to do, of course, because they're a publicly held company, do like the much more somber disclosure sort of stuff. And in that, the quote was that there is no meaningful contribution in 2026 from Agentforce on a revenue side. So that 900 million is really coming from their other existing products. And by the by, on the street, I'm hearing a lot of very similar things that the Agentforce, these 2,000 salespeople that Salesforce has apparently hired, are having a little bit of a rough go of getting enterprises to actually adopt all of this. And so I think these two stories are like epitomize the state that we're in this market right now. Massive amounts of hype, massive amounts of pressure to deliver results and to show that all of these massive investments are paying off. And this is not just with Salesforce or even the agentic AI space specifically, but clearly with OpenAI, with Microsoft, with everyone who's invested gobs and gobs of money around this. They're being pressured to demonstrate results. And yet, as we all know, as people that have been in the enterprise and lived in the enterprise for a long time, enterprises move slowly and cautiously, and they're resource constrained. And I think all of these are two colliding forces right now. So it was just sort of fun that these both appeared like literally on the same day. Two articles about the same earnings report, taking two wildly different sort of tones about it.
Yes, I think that it's going to be common in the next few months to see a bunch of bundling of data offerings and AI and talking about the growth there when this might mean in growth to your customer data platform or to your analytics offering or to your data management and integration offering along with AI, because the honest truth is it's still hard to both buy AI and to support AI. I feel like selling Agentforce or any agentic platform right now is often like putting the cart before the horse because there isn't necessarily the tools. The tools are not necessarily in place to support agents at scale. So say I want to put 20,000 agents in place in my enterprise. That means I have to manage 20,000 agents. I have to update them. I have to make sure they all stay up to date as I continue customizing and configuring my core Salesforce environment. All these things that have to be in place, and I have to be able to test every single agent, which probably means throwing 1,000 different prompts at the agent to make sure that the most commonly asked questions don't come out with really weird answers that could put me in some sort of governance or compliance bind. So all of this stuff needs to be put in place before putting out those billion agents that Benioff wants to have in place. He's literally said this billion number.
Yeah, well, and I think this is the issue. I'm bullish on the space over the long haul. I've been fairly vocal in my skepticism in the short term, because of all the, particularly these builder platforms like Agentforce, because there's so much of a heavy lift and there's so much infrastructure that has to be built. There's so many potential challenges with the data estate, and that's why I think you're seeing. We didn't report it in this particular feed, but Snowflake reported really solid earnings growth last week. I think it was in the 20 or 30% range, and just
Mhm.
and so I think we're seeing the sort of history, right, where the people that are selling the picks and the shovels right now are doing very, very well because there's all this infrastructure that has to get built around all of it. And I think again, it's also borne out in that CIOs are these days, I think, a pretty smart bunch, and they understand these implications and ramifications, and they have to make these trade-offs. And so they are, I think, encouragingly not buying blindly into all of the hype, and are kind of moving more cautiously. And it's going to be this interesting thing that is going to get borne out over time.